Madonna fans and Rebel Hearts, I proudly present my interview with Kevin Stea.
Hi everybody, and hi Heather, and welcome to Madonna Paradise Unboxings. My name is Kevin Stea, and I'm here to answer a couple of your questions. All right, I have my notes here, so let's see. When did you first take interest in dance? It was watching Janet Jackson's video for Nasty. It was the first time that I was ever interested in dance. I just thought it was so cool and sexy, and it was this new style I hadn't seen before, and I thought, I can do that. And so I taught it to myself. I recorded it, and I played it in the mirror, and I taught the number to myself, and then I performed it at school with some friends, and it got a really good response. And I felt like suddenly I had a little bit more, I had something that I was good at, you know. I was in a scholastic school at UWC in Singapore, United World College of Southeast Asia in Singapore on scholarship. But I was surrounded by scholars. And so when I started dancing there, it felt like something that was mine, you know, that I could actually excel at. All right, 2. How did you meet Madonna and get hired for the Blonde Ambition tour? Oh gosh, I've answered all these questions. It was a large, huge open call for dancers that she put out in New York and Los Angeles, in all the newspapers, on TV, everything, all the agencies. Well, the agency, there was only one at the time. And I went to the cattle call, and I think total she saw like 6,000, 7,000 people in both coasts. Los Angeles was a madhouse, and she was seeing people 40 at a time, and keeping maybe one from each group of 40. And she was there on the floor with her little glasses and her little Nike tights and her little cap, choosing personally every single person. And you know, there were a couple more callbacks, and they cut down from, you know, 4,000 to 200, and 200 to 100, 100 to 60, 60 to 30. And in the end, I didn't get it. She had chosen Gabriel, Oliver, and Carlton at that point, and I was doing my improv for her, but she wasn't even watching. She was talking to them. So I didn't really get hired till later. I was brought in as associate choreographer to Carol Armitage, who was then fired, which I thought I was fired too at that point. And she brought in Vince Patterson, who fresh off of the Michael Jackson's Bad tour. And I just worked with him. So he kept me on as his assistant. And then she asked me to be a dancer on the tour during the shoot for the Vogue video. And I said, well, I'll get back to you. But as you can see, I got back to her and I said yes. How long was the rehearsal process for the Blonde Ambition tour? It was breakneck pace. We actually had like 2 weeks to sort of sort out this Vogue video and kind of get things going. And Carol wasn't really working out. She's a great choreographer, but just not really for that type of dance. And so we ended up, I think, with 3 weeks to mount everything. So we did a number a day. We had like 19 numbers. So we did a number a day, reviews on Saturday, it's Sundays off. And then we had like another 2 or 3 weeks, 2 weeks on stage, like doing the show top to bottom, lighting the show twice a day for like 2 weeks before we went to Japan for a month, where we kind of really cut our teeth with audiences. And, so it was very fast. We were learning a full number a day, and it wasn't even in that much time because she had stuff to do in the morning. I was in school in the morning, then I was working with Vince, you know, before rehearsals, and then we'd rehearse with the dancers, and then she'd come in, she'd learn her part, and then she'd be off to music rehearsals. So we'd get maybe like 3 hours with her, 4 hours with her on a day to teach a whole number. Were you very close to Madonna personally throughout the rehearsals and tour, in touching moments between you and her? Well, I mean, I considered us close, but you know, I was, what, 19? I don't know that I was that present to who I was. I mean, I was being as fully myself as I could be. Let's just say that. I gave of myself as much as I could, and even though I wasn't that self-aware, I tried to bring everything I could to my job and professionalism and fun and myself, and she was, I treated her like I definitely treated her like a normal person. I expected her to earn my respect. I expected her to react like a normal person, act like a normal person. I didn't, hold her on a pedestal and say that. And I think she appreciated that. I hope she appreciated that. I miss her, I feel like, I don't know, it was just a very seminal period in our lives, and I feel like she filled a very important role for us, and I hope in some ways we did for her as well, like a sort of, sort of second family. Yeah, there was, I think one of the things I liked most seeing in her was just the vulnerabilities, because in public it was all very fuck you and strength and power but that there was this sort of soft, beautiful, vulnerable woman that that she didn't let show very often, that I would see glimpses of, and I just found it intriguing, and that's what I loved, because it felt like this sort of real person coming through. Not that she's not real as Madonna, but just there's a certain level of heightened existence that comes with, I think, being a star. I always appreciate the small moments. So, did any injuries happen while touring? And is it true that you chipped one of Madonna's front teeth on stage? Yes, it is true. I chipped her tooth right on stage. I think it was in Toronto, or where is it? Toronto? Detroit? Chicago? Oh, I can't remember now. It's a little blurry offhand, but yes, that mic went right into her mouth and chipped her poor tooth. And she told me she was going to take it out of my salary. Thank God she didn't. I don't know how much that would have cost. There were injuries on tour, but not super bad. It was only because we were dancing in Japan in the pouring rain, freezing pouring rain. It was almost sleet, in just our tights and our tour jackets. And we were still flipping and turning and running and gymnastics and the whole bit. And at one point, Gabriel slipped and twisted his ankle. So he did most of the tour on a twisted ankle. Other than that, though, I don't think there were any other injuries. Thank God, though, because there was no swing, so there was nobody to take our place if anything had happened. What was my favorite performance from the tour? I think it was Keep It Together. I just, at the end you knew that the show was done. You were, you could relax. You'd given all the energy that you could, and, and you got to connect in that number, and it was kind of, shit kicking, family ties and fuck everybody else. It was kind of, it was wild and crazy like that. And I really enjoyed that. And I also enjoyed, Stanley Kubrick's films. And so when I found out, when I, saw that was a reference, it intrigued me. So I liked where it came from as well. What is your favorite moment with Madonna? I won't go into that right now. There's lots. How was life on tour being a dancer, and did you get a lot of love and attention from Madonna fans? We did get a lot of love and attention from Madonna fans, although it was odd because I didn't really know why. I didn't know how famous she was really until we were on the road and all these screaming fans. And even if you get attention and love and adoration from fans, it doesn't mean that you necessarily can accept it or be with it easily, because it's overwhelming. It's a lot to have all that energy coming at you, and you almost have to protect yourself from it, because there's a lot of people that are not necessarily adoring to you. They're just adoring to you because you're in that satellite circle of her, and they want to be closer to her, so they try to get close to you, and then it doesn't really honor who you are as a person or as a performer. And yeah, so I think for a long time I really kept it at bay, and sort of didn't really acknowledge the sort of love and attention from Madonna fans. I try to now. I mean, I listen much more carefully. I think people are more clear to acknowledge our work, our participation, rather than just being sort of like, oh, and you worked with Madonna, so I'm gonna, love you just because. I think people have grown enough that they understand our impact and our work, and are aware enough to share that with us. I'm very appreciative of all that attention. Favorite tour memory? Oh, that's so open-ended. I can't. I had a really fun time on the plane going to Japan and back, because we didn't really know what we were getting into, and we were such kids, and she was up in first class, but she was so bored. So she kept coming back to us to hang out with us in the economy, and we were doing cartwheels in the aisles and runway, and being the stupid, crazy people that we are. So yeah, that freedom and fun, it stuck with us, I think, or stuck with me certainly. Yeah, at the beginning of tour, not knowing what was coming. That was fun. You had a dancing role in Showgirls the movie. How was that experience? Yes, I did. I played Daryl. It was hard. I mean, Marguerite was kicking our ass with choreography. I mean, turns and kicks and turns and leaps and down to the ground and lip jump, and do it all in a G-string or thong. So it was challenging, but I felt really strong at that period until the stage broke beneath me, and I twisted both my ankles and cut my toes just before we started shooting, because they put us on the stage and it wasn't ready, and they knew it wasn't ready. They just wanted to go full out, go, because they wanted to show the director. And yeah, I got laid out for a minute. It was interesting being so exposed, but very family. Like, you kind of get connected to people when you're standing around naked for hours and hours and hours every day. I enjoyed it. The script was horrendous, but I enjoyed doing it. Like, we were all in it together, like, shared suffering, shared experience. I didn't consider it suffering, certainly. We had a lot of downtime and a lot of good experiences living in Tahoe together and getting paid. Like, I mean, come on. It was great. Did you appear in any other films or TV shows over the years? What kind of question is that? Yes, I've appeared in over 24 films and, I don't know, dozens and dozens of TV shows and dozens of award shows and 55 videos, music videos, and tours and live appearances and fashion shows, and yeah, quite a few. What creative works have you made or done recently? Well, I'm semi-retired, but on Netflix, go watch Strike a Pose. That's on Netflix now, or buy it on Apple or DVD. I just shot a video for Sam Smith and Calvin Harris that comes out tomorrow. So look out for that. And there should be an Apple documentary connected to that as well. I haven't seen it, so I hope it's good. I think it's great. I'm just not sure about myself because I'm so rusty. So I've been doing, I just did something else. I always did an episode of Boy Culture. It's now a TV series. It was a movie before. I choreograph fashion shows, and I just choreographed a arts festival in Tuscany, based on the works of the fabulous famous artist Manolo Valdez. What else? Have I recorded albums? Yes, I have. I sing under the name That Rogue Romeo. Again, That Rogue Romeo. I have 2 albums up on iTunes. They were at one point taken down and put back up again, so I think I lost all my ratings and reviews and stuff. But they're still good. They're still there. I haven't continued working on that music yet because I have other projects I want to finish first. But I have 6 music videos up. I have all sorts of live performances and 2 albums. So go check it out. My favorite songs on those are City of Glass and Last Dance and the Machine and Magic remix. Yeah, so go check those out. I hope you like them. How did Strike a Pose, the documentary, come about? Strike a Pose, they were Dutch filmmakers who both had this experience where they realized that we had impacted them in their youth, and they realized that it wasn't just about Madonna, it was about us and who we were being on camera in the movie Truth or Dare with Madonna. And they saw that, you know, one director was gay, the other one is a straight woman, but they both had the same experience that that they were given and felt more, they were given more freedom and felt more free to be whoever they wanted to be or whoever they chose to be by seeing us on camera. And that's a very powerful message, and one that we've received from thousands of people around the world at this point. Was that just by seeing us on camera, it gave people an outlet, a vision of somewhere where they could belong, where there was a space for them, like where their tribe existed outside of wherever they were living. So they had this conversation about us and then followed us for years, unbeknownst to us, on social media, and then reached out to us to see if we would be interested and to see if there was a story, if our story was valuable or valid, or, you know, there's a lot more story than what you actually got in Strike a Pose. That's to come. But that's how that happened. They reached out, we all said yes, not immediately at all. They started filming before others had even said yes. Was it a cathartic experience to take part in the documentary? Absolutely, yeah. I knew I kind of wanted to take the reins of the narrative of, you know, what had happened, because I was tired of all this, you know, people misconstruing what happened and you know, and talking poorly of Gabriel, which I don't want anyone to ever speak poorly of Gabriel. So I felt like I had to stand up and say something, and also sort of own that period, because I had ignored it for so long and pushed it out of my life. Not because I didn't like it, but because I also didn't want everybody telling me, "Oh, you're riding on her coattails and you're using her, blah blah blah." And it's like I took her off my resume for 20 years. Like, I didn't mention her, I didn't talk about her, I didn't do many interviews about that kind of stuff. I always veered away from it all. I just you know, I have a lot of other merits, you know, a lot of other credits and work that I've done that I consider more important to myself. And that certainly was a wonderful job, but, you know, for me personally, there's other jobs that I'm more proud of, I suppose. Yeah, but it was freeing, you know, to take ownership of the value of the work that we did, and to take stock of the importance of our relationships that we forged in that period, and how we really are family and always will be, and no one can take that from us. We have that in common together, and even though we fight like dogs, we really do. They're always my brothers, and there's part of us that live in each other that we'll never have anywhere else in the world, in life, in anyone else. It's like being in a boy band, right? You had this wild, crazy experience, and then, only you guys will ever know what that was. That's what we got together. Have you kept in touch with the dancers after the tour and since filming Strike a Pose? After the tour, I kept in touch with Oliver for a long time, and Gabriel, obviously, until he passed in 94. 94. Yes, Gabriel was my best friend. Oliver, we fell out of touch around 2010, and then Carlton and I sort of regrouped in 2008-ish, maybe 2006, and then we've kind of been really good friends ever since. And Carlton is like my favorite person in the world. Like now, not back then. Back then I had a hard time with that. But now he's like my favorite person ever. And if you don't know him, go find him, Carlton Wilborn. He has a wonderful book out called Front and Center, How I Learned to Live There. Dance Formation is his transformation through dance program. He's a public speaker and a motivational speaker, and a very damn good one. Jose and I have sort of fallen out a bit. I love him dearly. I'm not sure what's going to happen there, but, I love him, and hopefully I'll get to see him again soon. Salim, too. We've all had these weird little explosions and regroupings and gatherings. We're a volatile bunch of people, When you get us together, you can feel our energy. It's pretty crazy when we're all together. And even one-on-one, we're really great. But there's all these weird, dynamics and politics that happen between us that get in the way sometimes. They're a bit much for me. And I wish it was easier, but it's not always easy. But that's okay. But that's just, we love each other. It's just like real family. We have issues. How was the opening night for the film? Oh gosh, opening night for the film was jaw-dropping. Of course, we didn't know what the film was going to be, how it was going to be good or bad or delicate or rough. We had no idea. Sensationalist, who knew? But seeing it I was floored at how masterful it was, how beautiful it was, and the response of the audience, which was just it made, I think, all of our lives feel complete in a weird way. Like this weird giant full circle moment where it's like, whatever happens from here, we've had this big circular journey that has had this moment of resolution. So whatever happens from here is okay. That's the power of that movie for us. Like it really gave us peace around our impact in the world. That's no small feat. Feel free to share anything from the experience of taking part in Strike a Pose that you didn't ask. Well, touching on that moment of full circle resolution. I got to travel for 1.5 years with that movie. Thank God I had the means and the availability to do so, but I got to travel for 1.5 years. I'm so glad I said yes. I went to 48 different cities in like 14 different countries that first year. It was amazing to see how that movie and Strike a Pose had impacted people worldwide of all ages, and to have that kind of recognition and acknowledgement. Extraordinary. And I just wish Gabriel would have been here to see it all. you know, he was a weird taste in his mouth over Truth or Dare, because he didn't want to be seen kissing Salim, and they had told him anything you don't want to be in the movie won't be in the movie. So, he thought he could say, he'd say, I don't want that in the movie, and they would take it out, and they didn't. So it left a very harsh taste in his mouth, and I just know he would be so proud. He'd be so happy, And he's this one connection through all of us that, no matter how much we fight, we all have this sort of shared trauma of losing him, because he was this beautiful spirit that everybody loved. And we all mourned separately and didn't get to mourn as a group until this movie. And it's given us a lot of space to breathe and to celebrate him. I just wish he was here, What else? I got me all melancholy. Anything else? The movie's given me a huge sense of gratitude. I'm so thankful. I can't believe my life has turned out the way it has. I can't believe everything that's happened to this moment. I feel so blessed, and so it doesn't seem possible or real. I never wanted to be a dancer. I never thought any of this would happen. And yet I've gotten to spend 30 years, 30 years surrounded by friends and having fun and feeling expressed, doing what I want, taking time for myself, taking downtime when I want to take downtime, traveling, vacationing, like being creative, working with the best, most creative people in the world. This movie gave me a moment to really sit back and be grateful. And maybe that's why I say I'm semi-retired, because what else can I do? What else am I going to do? Well, we'll see. We'll see what I'm going to do. Thank you for your time. Nice talking to you.